today's episode, we're going to feature AEW's Fight for the Fallen, where we had a 10-man elimination match. We even got Nick Gage debuting in AEW, facing off Chris Jericho on one of the labors of Jericho, and plenty others. We even going to review other of wrestling shows. One from recently this past June by Unsanctioned Pro, a independent promotion, sort of death matches style, based out of Columbus, Ohio, and also two past events by DDT Pro Wrestling. So, let's get started with another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with AEW's Dynamite's Fight for the Fallen, which was taking place in North Carolina. The opening match was the 10-man elimination tag team match, where if the Hangman and the Dark Order wins, they will actually get a title shot for the AEW World Title and the tag team titles. But if they lose, they have to walk away from it. The match was amazing, but practically great opener. Of course, I think it took most of the time in the opening match, and I think it felt properly. But the ending was unbelievable, where Hangman Page was left behind when all the members of Dark Order were eliminated, leaving him with the original three members of the Elite. So basically, he was no match for all of them. So it was until they finally defeated Hangman Page. But however, there are those that believe that maybe there's a reason for this match to be lost. Now there are those that believe Hangman Page is gonna pull some cowboy-esque. If you guys know what I mean, that he's going to ignore the stipulation and continue to go for the title. But there's more implications. That's until near the end of this episode, and I'll explain why. Now, as you know, recently Pac has been frustrated with the arrival of El Idolo. He called out the Death Triangle. Now, Andrade believes that Pac has been holding back Penta and Phoenix. Now, they were supposed to be at the arena, but however, Andrade made sure they don't show up. They want Pac out of the way because he believes that Penta and Phoenix are better off without him. Basically, it's a battle about he's looking out for his people. But Penta and Phoenix, we don't know if they are going to betray Pac or they're going to stand by him. So that's the obvious question. We have to wait until who knows when. Now, as you know, last week we saw the 2 weeks ago, where in night one of Fyter Fest, Team Taz betrayed Brian Cage to pass the FTW title to Ricky Starks. Basically, Ricky Starks became the guy who's saying that Brian Cage is unfaithful. He was not really a good team player. That when Ricky was in fact injured, he never bothered calling him. But however, the party was crashed by Brian Cage, and Starks ran like the coward that he is. Now, we received a video surprise package by none other than the ace of New Japan Pro Wrestling, Hiroshi Tanahashi. Now, we have seen Tanahashi go after some amazing belts. We know he's been multiple times as the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, the Intercontinental Championship, and of course, the last recently, the Never Openweight. Now he is gunning for the IWGP United States Championship. He said that he'll face the winner of that match between Lance Archer or Hakuleo. That is something that's going to be happening. Now, fortunately, that title is not going to take place in an AEW event. It's going to take place on August 14th at Resurgence. Now you're probably saying, why is that? Well, keep in mind the IWGP is a New Japan belt, and of course they're doing some US shows. It fits properly. Now, I cannot speak on the details of exactly if this is the right thing, but keep in mind they do have some sort of partnership with them. So it all depends what New Japan Pro Wrestling are asking. So basically, we don't know more on that, but I say that event is going to be a killer event. Now, the next match is a tag team match, which is FTR with Tully Blanchard facing off against Santana and Ortiz with Conan. Now, I want to be frank. I don't know if anybody did notice. There was a freaking blackout in majority of the match of this one. I was so disappointed with that. Um, I don't know what happened, but I have to say I was that FTR won. But to be honest with you, it wasn't because I wasn't hyped. It wasn't because that blackout kind of messed things up for me. I don't know if any of you guys had that issue, but if you did, I don't know what happened. But FTR won, but we'll see what happens down the line with them. Now, apparently, this one has now become the news. As you know, we all been aware that AEW Rampage will be coming out on August 13th, which is a Friday. And of course, they just announced another event of Rampage in Chicago in August 20. However, this will be explained at the end. They interviewed Darby Allin, and he said, if you're the best in the world, then come on over. There were reference to that, but like I said, I'm going to do that at the end of the episode. Now we get to the IWGP United States title. We got Hakuleo, and surprise, he was accompanied by his dad, none other than King Haku, or as Kevin Kelly or Ian Ricamani will call him, Big Daddy Cruel. It was a good match, seeing Hakuleo and Lance Archer win out. Probably some of you are saying he's a full-time member of AEW. Now, keep in mind, the only reason he left AEW is because right now, New Japan never gave him the opportunity to become a singles competitor. He's always been a tag team competitor along with Davey Boy Smith Jr., or as we know him, the son of the British Bulldog. He's always been frustrated. He never got the singles push that he could have deserved in New Japan. Now, I don't know if New Japan are interested of having him come by, but it was a good match. He retained the title, and I was surprised that he was able to pull him in a black hole. But however, I did notice that Jake Roberts wasn't there. I would assume he would have showed up in commentary, but he didn't do that. So basically, it did not happen that way. But it appears that Lance Archer will be facing Hiroshi Tanahashi at Resurgence on August 14th, and I'm excited to see that. Now, what else? As you know, we are expecting next week, Cody is set to go to the Jacksonville Homecoming match, where he will face the newly demented or the strange figure Malachi Black. However, while he was being interviewed, Malachi Black once again showed up and apparently decided to, start a little brawl and all this other stuff. So we don't know how this match is going to be. I know there were people I saw. There was this one angle from Destination Pro Wrestling did mention when he saw him that Cody needs to stop putting people over. Like, I understand that, but the real thing is they have to, because they need to establish them. And Cody is that kind of guy who wants to give them that opportunity. Now, next match we have Private Party and Angelico, along with Matt Hardy taking on Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and of course Marcos along with Ride, teaming with Christian. I have to say this was a very interesting trios match. The reason is because recently we've been seeing Christian Cage hanging out with the Jurassic Express. Now, to me, I wouldn't mind if Cage becomes like their coach, kind of like Sting is doing with Darby Allin. Like, some of the veterans should team up with these guys, and I feel that could play. But it was a good match, and of course Christian was the one that picked up the 1, 2, 3. However, the match did not, the It did not end that way. Apparently, once again, Matt Hardy, who is determined to have Christian Cage leave AEW, sent his mercenary, the Blade, and knocked him out with the brass knuckles. So basically, this is going to be a long feud between both Hardy and Christian. Now, we get a women's match, the only one tonight. I know there's been people that've been talking about this, but however, we have Julia Hart, who is the resident cheerleader for the Varsity Blondes, taking on officially now with the AEW Thunder Rosa. It was a very good match. However, I feel Julia was put into to be tested because we know Thunder Rosa can help put over a lot of female wrestlers because she believed in it, and I have to say she did a good job. But I feel like maybe Julia Hart needs to develop more. But we'll see how that goes down the line. But I'm not gonna say it's one of her best matches, but excuse me. But we do know she can do better. However, Thunder Rosa did win the match as always. Now, speaking of Tanahashi, Moxley has made a video package saying that he's been annoyed that Tanahashi has been avoiding him, ducking him, but it's still unclear if he still has a contract with New Japan. We know he's been doing that, but it's still unclear if that's the case. If that was the case, the reason they dropped the title, who knows? But we'll figure that out some point down the line. Now we get to the main event, which was the Labor of Jericho Chapter 2. Jericho faces off against Nick Gage. I have to say, this match, I did not expect a whole lot because here's the reason why. I have seen firsthand how GCW fans are really down with Nick Gage, how he performs. And I don't know if this is a good taste for people on TV, but it appears like it worked. I think you can do these type of matches once in a while, but I have to say this is where we see Jericho is put to the test, where he's facing a guy who's been involved in death matches throughout his entire life. But he pulled it off amazingly when he applied the Judas effect onto Nick Gage and pinning him 1, 2, 3. However, it did not end there. As we expect, cranky MJF decided that he's not going to take it. However, he decided to bring someone from Jericho's past for his next labor, and that person is Juventud Guerrera. Now, some of you who are new into the watching wrestling, what is that supposed to mean? I'll give you a recap. Back when WCW were around, Jericho was in a match for the Cruiserweight title against Juventud Guerrera. However, if Juventud lost, he had to remove his mask, which it did happen. Juventud lost that match to Chris Jericho, and he had to remove his mask. Now, there's a lot of deep history about WCW making those mistakes, but that's another conversation for another time. But Juventud will never forget. Now, think about it. This is like a more of a revenge type of scenario, and MJF knows it. That he knows that he has to bring Juventud, who hated him for losing the mask. He did say, Google it. He mentioned Juvi before in about 2 years ago, or I don't know when, but it did play out pretty well on that. So we're gonna see for the first time there in almost over 2 decades, with Juventud Guerrero returning to TNT for AEW, and this is gonna be one amazing moment to see. So I think that's pretty much it. Okay, this is the first time I actually get to review this promotion, Unsanctioned Pro. Now, you're probably saying, where did I find this promotion? Well, I've been using this link called Pro on wrestling.com or Pro. Hold on a minute. I have it on my phone here. Pull it off. Oh, sorry. Yeah, watchprowrestling.com. Now, this is one of the few of the match. You can find me on the indie section. It's right there. This promotion is more like the death matches type of vibe. This is the only event that they managed to pull off because, of course, we're still dealing with the pandemic. This is based out of Columbus, Ohio. So, forgive me if I don't recognize any of these wrestlers, but I'll tell you what I think of this event. Starting from, and this event is called If You Know, You Know, and this took place on the 18th of June. So, let's go from the beginning. It opened up with Aaron Williams. I don't know who he is, who's been calling out the Unsanctioned Pro Heavyweight Champion, um, Everett Cross. Now, this match, according to the commentators, was supposed to take place later on, but however, Aaron Williams did not want to wait, so he pushed it, and it was an interesting match. But however, Everett Cross, Everett Cross won the match when he pinned him. And of course, Aaron Williams is livid that he can't believe he lost it, because this was a match, from what Aaron Williams mentioned prior, that this was supposed to take place a long time ago. But now it did happen, but it went into the favor of Everett Cross. Now the next match is a five-way scramble match. We have Jeffrey John, Damian Chambers, Jania Kai, who is the only female in this one, Trey Sean, and Levi Everett. Now, I heard of Levi Everett. He's this guy who dressed like an Amish, but this time he dressed like as a super cool dude. But it was a good match. I have to say, Jania Kai has a very interesting way. She kind of dresses more like the Muay Thai fighters, and I think that's very unique. But of course, I was surprised that she was the one who won the match. I would have assumed someone else did, but she won this match. I'm thinking about trying to check her out, what she can do. Now the next match is for the Unsanctioned Pro Wrestling heavyweight title for the number one contendership. We have Cole Raddick taking on Lord Crew. The match was great. It was unbelievably good, and I have seen Cole Raddick before on GCW. I did not expect him to win, because from the look of Lord Crew, I thought he would have won, but no, it was Cole Raddick who won fair and square. He even tried to show respect to Crew, but no, Crew wasn't having it. Excuse me. Next up, we got the MidwestTerritory.com title between Freddie Hudson versus the champion Yoya. Now, I wasn't too much hype because, like I said, there's a lot of wrestlers I don't know, but it was an okay match. It was an okay. I give it a pass, and I think I felt like it went quicker. I don't know why, but it was Freddie Hudson who won, and he became the new MidwestTerritory.com champion. Now, the next match, we have Lexus Montes taking on someone we all know. I mentioned him on GCW and MLW, Jordan Oliver. It was a good match. I love watching Jordan Oliver as a singles competitor, despite the fact that he's a tag team with Myron Reed, but it was good. Oh, excuse me. So, it was Jordan Oliver that picked up an amazing victory, proving why he's that popular. Now we get to the Unsanctioned Pro Interim Hardcore title. This was between Casanova Valentine and Bobby Beverly. The match was amazing with the hardcore toys, but it was Casanova that picked up the victory. Good, but however, it did not end there. He was ambushed by Aaron Williams and Lord Cruz, and of course, I forgot this other person, but it was Crew who pinned him and became the new Unsanctioned Pro Interim Hardcore Champion. So basically, that's what it is. If there's any more events from these guys, I'll definitely review it, but there's still more other events that I haven't covered yet. Okay, so this is one of two DDT Pro Wrestling events that I'm going to review. This one is called Peanuts Are Good for Source of Protein 2020. This took place on the 3rd of April, which is a few months ago. It opened up with Yusuke Okada and Yukio Naya taking on Toy Kojima and Akito. Now, this is one of those matches where we always see like Toy Kojima as the young boy, and of course, same thing with Okada. But they're learning in the good curve, and it was Okada who picked up the victory when he pinned Kojima. So we don't know how long they got left being in as a young boy, but this is going to be an interesting match to watch. Next up, we have a DDT Iron Man Heavy Metal title 6-man tag team match. We have Keigo Nakamura and Mao and Antonio Honda taking on Saki Akai, Kazuki Irada, and Toru Owashi. Now, this match is a total farce because it's so funny. Saki, on the other hand, is the DDT Pro Wrestling Iron Man Heavy Metalweight Champion, and that's the problem. She knows they're being gunning, but however, the match ended in Honda winning. No, was it Honda? Yeah, it was Honda who picked up the victory, but however, it was later on that Saki pinned him and regained the titles, and of course everybody started chasing her, and that sort of plays out. But however, later on in one of the later matches, they caught up to her. She tried to get involved, but she forgot she can't pin anybody because she has to get away from it. So basically, I want to confess this to everybody: the DDT Iron Man Heavy Metalweight Championship is a far more better title than the 24/7. Now, it's hard for me to say this to all WWE fans, but it's the truth. The reason I say this is because you may not like it. I want to thank Joey Ryan for bringing that title to the States because he made videos of that. And I think that title was a real fun one. And it went through YouTube, and that's how they followed. But, I mean, you can blame me for saying that, but it's the truth. I never heard of this title until I saw those videos. Next match, we got Hideki Okatani taking on Danshuko Dino. Now, I feel sorry for Okatani because in this one, Danshuko is a very sick guy. He actually takes off his pants, and you don't want your face all over his butt. Well, apparently, it kind of ended in a bizarre way where he kissed him and pinned him. I'm like, oh, this is not good for him, but it happened. I'm like, I feel sorry for Okatani. Next up, we got a tag team match. We got Eruption. Yukio Sakaguchi, Katsusada Iguchi taking on Damnation's Mad Polly and Samoa Takao. Awesome match. Eruption has shown why they are the KOD Tag Team Champions. Now, so far, nobody has challenged them yet. And that's how it is. But however, it was what's his name again? Sakaguchi, who put a chokehold on Mad Polly and forcing him to pass out, and that was it. Mad Polly tried to fight it, but it was still no match for him. Next up, we have Damnation Tetsuya Naito, Yuji Ino, and Datsuko Sakata taking on Chris Brooks, Yukio Ino, and Harashima. This match was alright. I have to say it was really good, but however, it was Yuji Ino who pulled off the victory on this one because he's a huge dude. He doesn't take no prisoners whatsoever. Now, the next match, we have the 37 coming out, consistent of Shuna Katsumata and Yukio Ino taking on Jinrutsu Makoto Oishi and Jun Akiyama. This is another prime example, but it was Makoto Oshiyama who put what's his name, Yukio Ino in the submission and made him to tap out. So basically, Junritsu continued to be a force to be reckoned with. And I have to say, this event was pretty good. I can't wait to put out more. But guess what? We're gonna do more on DDT Pro Wrestling. Okay, so the last review we got is DDT Pro Wrestling with the Chris Brooks produced number 3 Dangers and Pleasure Tour 96. This one took place on the 4th at the Ice Ribbon Dojo. First match, it was for the DDT Extreme title between Mecha Mummy and Chris Brooks. There was a lot of good fun matches. They were doing some ridiculous things like using the pool. Apparently, Mecha Mummy doesn't like water. Well, a certain type of water, but however, it was Chris Brooks that was able to pick up the victory. But Mecha Mummy did not take that too kindly. But however, some other force showed up in his rear ugly head. Don't remember what they call him, but it happened. So it's still unclear. I don't know if he's going to be part of the another Chris Brooks produced, but we'll see what happens down the line. The next up we have Keigo Nakamura teaming with 387 Kaimina, Mao and Yuki Ueno taking on the men's club, Makoto Oishi, Hagane Shinoe, and Men's Teru. It was a fun match. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I was enjoying every moment that they have, and it was one of the most interesting matches to follow. And I have to say, I deeply like it. However, there's a bit of the comedy in this one. It worked, and I think the men's club kind of fits in perfectly. But however, it was the men's club who actually won this one when they pinned Keigo Nakamura, all three of them at the same time. Now the next match is a singles match. We got Bali and Aki from Got to Move taking on Harashima. It was a really good match. I have to say, very physical. One of the best matches I've seen Bali and Aki outside of Got to Move. But fortunately, he came up a little bit short when he lost to Harashima. And I have to say, it was a really good match. And I practically like it. I enjoy the Chris Brooks produced shows. I hope there'll be more down the line. But for now, I think this is how it ended. And I think we're going to talk about a certain individual that I think the wrestling world is ready to talk about. Once again, I'm talking about the one who created the pipe bomb, CM Punk. Okay, for a long time we have been hearing that people were saying that Punk is going to make his appearance in AEW. Now, for all of you WWE fans, are saying, nope, 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 nope. He's not going to show up. He's a WWE guy. Well, things are not been going so well for WWE. They really want him back, but keep in mind, he had some issues with these guys in the past. There's been talk now, and when the first All Out came out, which took place in Chicago, everybody presumed CM Punk was going to show up, but it didn't happen. But recently, in the last couple of weeks, or days or weeks, we've been hearing reports that AEW are in talks with Punk, and looks like there is a chance we're going to see. But before I moved on, you probably say, but is he ever going to go to WWE back? Well, apparently the news has broken down saying that WWE blacklisted him. So I hate to burst the WWE bubble on this one for you guys, but that's what I'm hearing. But AEW will be a perfect choice. The reason is that Square Circle Psycho said he'll be one of like Scott Hall and Kevin Nash when they defected to WCW, but we'll see when that happens. Now, however, there is a specific reason why this is happening. On August 20, AEW Rampage will be in Chicago, and that is no secret. Now, people chanted on the latest AEW Dynamite Fight for the Fallen, they were chanting Punk. So it kind of fits in. Now, remember, last year we couldn't get Brody Lee to, debut in Rochester, where he was from, because of the pandemic. And hopefully we get to see Punk debut in Chicago, because that's something that we know that the natives of Chicago would definitely want. But I think this is going to be one interesting timing to see. Hopefully they play it pretty well and many fans will like it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Coming up, we got NXT UK and, of course, Impact Wrestling. I may throw in maybe one or two reviews from the Japanese wrestling side, or maybe something I haven't done in the indie side in the US. But you may never know what I'm going to throw in. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.